Alright, just want to show you a couple key elements of our brooder house and what makes it special and certain things that you have to have. The first thing you'll notice is that our brooding area is elevated. I've got these 2x4s with mesh fencing around it for our birds, and then this is covered in, I think it's 1/2 inch hardware cloth. Can't remember if it's 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. But it's covered in hardware cloth, and I do that specifically for ducks because ducks are very messy. They spill all their food and all their water, and they poop a lot as well, and so this allows all the poop to fall through the floor. And because they have large webbed feet, they do okay on this hardware cloth. I have noticed that some of them had some splayed feet and some foot joint problems. So what I've done now is I've added some straw, particularly where the heat lamps are, just to give them some soft ground to lay on. But the rest of it is all open, so all the poo, the spilled food, spilled water, everything falls to the floor. And then when it falls to the floor down here, we can just throw some straw on it to keep it dry and keep the smell down as much as possible. So this is our setup. We've got buckets of feed here. They need feed, and they need grit. So in this thing we have just play sand, coarse play sand that they use, and they use that in their crop and their gizzard to help digest their food. We give them that while they're in here. When they go out in pasture, we give them a little bit of grit, but they get so much sand and little pebbles from the pasture, we don't give them a whole lot typically when they're outside, but in here they definitely need some. We've got our heat lamps. They have to be about 95 degrees for the first couple of days, and then you can start tapering back the heat by about 5 degrees each day. So they have to stay in here about 2.5 to 3 weeks until they're strong enough and have enough feathers to weather cooler weather outdoors. So we have our heat lamps, and I just use these, I think they're 250 watt bulb heat lamps you get from your farm store, and I have them hanging periodically, and these heat lamps are all wired up to let's see if we get a good look at it, a temperature controller here, and I can set the temperature, and so it always maintains that temperature. This is by Inkbird. These are nice little temperature controllers, and I have it set at 70. It's currently 85, so it's plenty warm in here. I can adjust this as the birds age and kind of harden them off. There's also other style heat lamps. You got, some people use the propane kind, but these bulbs work just fine. I've got about 500 birds in here, so this is 32 by 8, and that allows enough square footage, about 250 square feet. So every bird has a 1/2 square foot, and that's what you want for ducks, 1/2 square foot per bird. Chicks you can get away with 0.25 or 1/3 of a square foot per bird. Then as far as our watering system, we got these little automatic waters. They're pretty nice, as you can just flip them and dump them. They're all connected to a daisy chain, and instead of connecting it directly to a hose, I just have a hose filling a 5-gallon bucket with a float valve in it, so the bucket always stays full. The float valve shuts off the hose, stops the bucket from filling, and then a drain line out the bottom of the bucket that runs and constantly fills these. The bucket's elevated, so it runs by gravity, so water flows down with gravity and always keeps these full. And all these little waters have their own little float valve in them. And then so each day we just come in here, we add them some fresh straw or fresh hay underneath their heat lamps. We top off their sand or their grit, top off their feed, dump their water, and they're done. And so we can raise a lot of birds pretty quickly that way. And this is the hoop house, which you saw. I have plans for that uploaded. This one's 1,000 square feet. We could breed up to 2,000 birds in here, easy. And it's pretty easy to do. You can see it's just got a wooden spine down the center holding everything up. It's just 1-inch PVC ribs covered in plastic. We've got a door frame here, and the posts are concreted in. And then across the bottom, we have poultry wire or hardware cloth to keep predators out. And that's it. So that's how we brood our chicks. You need the heat, you need water, you need feed, you need grit. And that's about all. Talk to you soon.